Joining us now to discuss tonight's State of the Union address, political analyst Jessica Deloach and Bill Vickery. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for joining us tonight.
Thank you for being here.
Thanks.
And we want to start tonight with, of course, the biggest topic on everyone's mind, the Russian invasion of Ukraine. Tonight, President Biden announced he is banning Russian flights from American airspace. He did say, referring to Putin, he says he has no idea what is coming. So we want to ask you guys, what did you make of that announcement and his address on the crisis in general? Bill, if you want to go first.
Sure. First, let me say it's great to be back with Jessica here. I feel like the old band is back together here from the morning show. Look, it was an uninspired speech from the president. He bans flights from Russia into the United States, but he says nothing about supplying the Ukrainian people with weaponry, by the way, which the Obama-Biden administration refused to do. So he's got a history of already refusing weapons. He's done nothing. It's interesting, Sky News had a split screen. While he's talking about all the accomplishments that we've done on behalf of the Ukrainian people, they're showing bombs hitting major Ukrainian cities. So an inept response, bungled foreign policy, lack of leadership on the international level, banning a few flights and pouring some vodka out isn't really a coherent strategy to maintain world order.
So this conflict has been brewing for a while, but it all happened very fast. That's how the American people feel about this. So imagine being the person who was responsible or part of the team for writing the State of the Union. You were hoping to address domestic issues, and all of a sudden you have to start the speech by providing reassurance to not only the American people but the world that, hey, we are going to do our part to support the Ukrainian people, and it's really difficult to say exactly what's going to put the hurt on someone like Vladimir Putin, because this is something that he's dedicated his life to doing, which is taking over Ukraine, and now the United States has vowed to play a very critical role in bringing that conflict to an end.
And I hope that's the case. But I do agree with you. It's very difficult to take Putin's measure in this sense. What does he do? Why do you go into Ukraine? It doesn't seem to be an end game there. But, you know, there was so much more. I agree with Jessica. It seemed like there was about 7 minutes about Ukraine tacked on to the beginning of the speech, and then it was straight into the old partisan back and forth of, I need this and pass this and all this other stuff. And at one point, he confused the Iranian people for the Ukrainian people. He reached inside his pocket to find a mask, and it wasn't there. We didn't talk really about COVID. Very hypocritical. The House lifts their mask ban 12 hours before the State of the Union speech. I mean, it's just more of the same from a lot of politicians kind of covering up. And I think the American people see through that.
I kind of wanted to talk about that because it seemed like the bookends of the speech were great. You know, the rallying support behind the Ukrainian people certainly stood out. And then the State of the Union is strong at the end, rallies everyone there. But then the meat in the middle, was he able to, you know, he's got dismal approval rating numbers right now. Was he able to perhaps get a bounce off of something in there? Some of the things in the speech sounded kind of familiar, Bill.
So obviously President Biden and his team would want for this speech to provide reassurance to the American people. And if you pay attention to how the Republican Party has responded to this, they've seized on inflation as an issue that they know is going to be one of the biggest issues in the upcoming midterm elections. They know how difficult it's going to be for the Democratic Party. I do believe that President Biden is in a pretty complicated position right now, just because, as you've noted, Bob, his polling is not so great. You have international conflict while the American people are feeling great economic strain, and the economy is the number one issue that voters respond to in any given election. And so he's going to have to find a way to transcend those complications, that pain that the American people are feeling, and there's still some time to do it.
I think, first of all, Jessica's being honest with you. That's what the Biden administration needs to say is, look, hey, this is a complicated situation. We're dealing with a lot that's going on. But they didn't say that tonight. If they'd done what she just laid out, the American people would have some compassion, I think, for the difficult position the administration's in. But they quadrupled down on a bunch of failed policies that they've already had stymied in Washington. And, oh, by the way, the rhetoric you're referring to, Bob, that was a Trump campaign speech from 2016 when he talked about build stuff in America, bring American jobs back, do all that American stuff. Biden stepped one phrase short of just make America great again. So he's just retread of a lot of the old Trump stuff.
Now, I do want to make one thing clear. He did say that they are going to make great investments in roads all through the United States, and anyone who has traveled between Nashville and Memphis will greatly appreciate that. So that's always really great. And then also, I mean, more seriously, investing in infrastructure. That is something that the American people want to see. That is something that's going to help with jobs across the country. It's going to have a long-lasting effect, and it's something that we will see pay way into the future. So there was plenty of positive to be had. Of course, the State of the Union always has an element of spectacle to it, and you just have to kind of navigate around that.
I do think that's just it, though. That was a huge accomplishment, something that had been done bipartisan, and they barely spent any time talking about it. That should have been something that they trumpeted. I think the radical left has a hold of these guys, and they're not letting go, and that's why you saw them pay so little attention to bipartisan stuff going forward. All in all, as a Republican, I'm looking forward to November. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
Can't wait for it to get here.
Final thoughts on this, guys?
I thought it was an uninspired speech. For a little bit of self-criticism here. I thought big words by the governor of Ohio, but she delivered them in a poor way. I think it's time that the response for these kinds of things, you got to stop trying to craft the perfect person and let a great speaker just show up and take a swing at it. So as a Republican, I was disappointed in that.
Well, I will tell you one thing. The American people want to see more bipartisanship. That is something that we are desperate to see because we are tired of how tumultuous government is on every level. People want elected officials who respond to their bottom line, to their greatest needs. And as soon as we start seeing more of that and we start seeing a party emerge and say we want to be the champion of bipartisanship, we're going to see a lot more get done in this country and a lot more people get interested in politics. It couldn't happen soon enough.
Guys, I think you hit on everything that everyone's talking about out there. Thanks very much for joining us tonight.
And we appreciate you and your take on that.